because my mom's able to have an amazing career, but she's also an amazing mother, and she was able to raise kids. And I think loving the music and loving your career and doing all that is amazing, but being obsessed with it can be a problem.
Turns out that might have just been the biggest misconception about her.
I think the biggest misconception is that I'm a maybe, if people think that.
Now, why do they think that? Why do you?
Because I'm just like you. I have standards.
However, outside of her craft, her life was far from perfect.
And I said, Rhonda, it's a good thing that I believe in prayer, because something's happening and I don't know what it is.
Even her co-workers noted that something had switched in her.
You could see that she was no longer the girl that she was. She was like devoid of whoever she was.
She became the prime example of what others shouldn't aspire to be like.
I'll never forget the agent who looked at me and said, "You're beautiful, you're talented. Remember your place. Don't be like that Diana Ross."
In today's measure of success in the entertainment industry, there are probably only a handful of people that could compete with Diana Ross. Not only did the vocalist attain early success in her life as a singer, but she also managed to make her mark in several other facets of the entertainment industry. However, all of that success seemingly came at a cost that she seemingly had to pay throughout her life as a star. The singer-cum-actress, who was considered the greatest artiste of her time, also had her fair share of challenges, including losing several people around her, among other disasters. I know it's difficult to see how a celebrity who was able to stand at the pinnacle of every standard of success could have had more than a few bad days. But Diana Ross's life was pretty much a perfect representation of the hidden struggles that come with fame and fortune. While the woman herself has repeatedly told this story to serve as a lesson to how the life of a celebrity could be complicated, her son has now taken up the mantle, giving a new twist to some of the least spoken parts of his mother's life and struggles. With the new details he revealed, Diana might be a whole different person than what you imagined.
Diana and I should have been there together, said, "I'm ready to do this, you're ready to do it, let's do it."
Why didn't it happen that way?
She did not want to talk first. She wanted to do the business first.
For 1 in every 10 successful singers that emerged from the 90s, there is a high probability that one of their biggest motivations to attain success was the life Diana Ross led. The singer, who was talented enough to break into the big leagues of the entertainment industry in her teens, was regarded as ahead of her time. Well, there was a whole journey till that point. First, there was the Primettes, then the Supremes, then there was Diana Ross and the Supremes. And then it was just Diana Ross. It's not an exaggeration to say that Ross has had a spectacular career. Even by the numbers, it's staggering. The Detroit Historical Society says that she sold more than 100 million records, recorded 57 different albums, and had a slew of #1 hits and awards to go with them. These accolades attached to her name are why it might be a little difficult to see how the singer's life isn't the fairy tale most people have pictured it to be, especially considering it wasn't a lone success story, as she's credited for engineering the discovery of Michael Jackson, among several other stars. But her best story yet seems to be how she became a sensation in the industry. Diana Ross started out singing in school, with a group of neighborhood girls who got together to form an all-female counterpart to the local all-male group, the Primes. They would later change their name too. They would have their series of hits as the Temptations. They got the attention of Smokey Robinson, who set them on the path to their own recording contract. And Diana Ross? She may have never looked back, but others definitely fell by the wayside.
I have been cold and testy. That is one of the things. When you're wanting everything to be right, a lot of times you make a lot of mistakes, and you are quite rough on people.
However, her life, up until that point and even after, was far from the superstar dream it appeared to be from the outside, and the actress wrote all about it in her memoir. For starters, there's the fact that her exit from the band wasn't exactly as smooth as it looked on paper. In their prime, the Supremes packed a lot into the relatively few years between signing with a record company and breaking up. They were together for just 9 years. However, the first domino to their eventual dissolution fell in 1967, when Florence Ballard's struggles with alcohol addiction became too much for the other members and their producer, Berry Gordy. The third of the original members, Mary Wilson, told The Hollywood Reporter that things really started going sideways when Ballard, still dealing with the trauma of a brutal left the group.
Why did she leave the Supremes? I think it was just, the point of, I'm tired and I want to quit, We were working very hard. We were. It was like living out of a suitcase for 4 or 5 years.
This was what led to her being fired and replaced with Cindy Birdsong of Patti LaBelle's Bluebell backup group. And just 3 years later, Diana Ross would say goodbye too. Ross's departure from the Supremes was spread over 6 months. The act was later renamed Ross and the Supremes to recognize her role as lead singer. Her final departure came in a farewell performance at the Frontier Hotel in Las Vegas in January 1970. Their final recording as a trio, Someday We'll Be Together, was a success. The changes in the group's structure from its founding to Ross's departure have been the focus of several speculation and a slew of conflicting reports. Wilson released her own memoir, Dream Girl, My Life as a Supreme, 1986, and according to The Telegraph, she didn't pull any punches when she was promoting it. She shared stories of Ross's cutthroat determination, saying at one point, "If you happened to be in her way while she was going toward the center, that was your fault." She craved attention, and in her attempts to get it, she could seem almost ruthless. Things became so difficult that even well into the 21st century, efforts to bring the group back together were unsuccessful. When asked about a reunion, Mary Wilson would often say that the decision was up to Ross. As proven with her problems with her former group members, Ross's career came second to nothing in her life, not even her relationship with Berry Gordy. When Ross was still in school, she had her first meeting with Berry Gordy, the man known for creating Motown. He wanted the group to change their name. Initially, they were called the Supremes, but Ross didn't like it and she thought it wasn't feminine enough.
Did he make you a star?
I think Barry is very responsible for my career.
Could you have done it without him?
No.
This was in 1960. 7 years later, Ross and Gordy had grown much closer, and their relationship changed just before they officially became known as Diana Ross and the Supremes. In 2008, when Gordy spoke to Vanity Fair, he described working with Diana Ross as heavenly. He fell in love with her because she was his star, and she began her journey to success from the very start. But Diana Ross was more than just a star. She was also the mother of his daughter. Rhonda Ross, their daughter, had a sense of this, although she didn't know the full truth until she turned 13. That's when Ross told her that the man who raised her, Robert Ellis Silberstein, wasn't her biological dad, but Berry Gordy was. Gordy clarified that they chose to stop being romantically involved when it began affecting Diana's career. They had a prior understanding that if their relationship hindered her success, they would separate. He was aware of her aspiration to become a superstar. However, little did she know that her pursuit of success would take a lot more from her. That's right, even before she left the Supremes, her career as the lead singer of a group had already been taking a huge toll on her.
October 15, 1965 was the height of our career. We had already worked very hard to that point. We had already paid our dues. They like exhausted, you know.
During her career, Ross was open about how difficult it was to keep up with her busy schedule. She had to perform at many shows, travel a lot, and hardly got any sleep. This affected her health severely, taking a toll on her health. At one point, she couldn't even eat. She revealed that when she tried to eat, her jaw would tighten up, and chewing seemed like a luxury for her at the time. She said she even felt nauseated by the smell of food. The singer was also losing weight and hardly had any appetite. She mentioned that before performances, she would break out in rashes, especially when they had to do as many as 6 shows in a single day. Gordy, who pushed her to keep performing, added to the pressure. Diana wrote that she always felt like something bad might happen, and she was afraid that people would realize she wasn't as good as they thought she was, and her career would fall apart.
Really? There would not have been this Diana, a Diana Ross? No?
Maybe a Diana Ross would have gotten started somewhere, but I don't think I would have gone to the I wouldn't have done that. I wouldn't have started movies.
However, the singer proved everyone, including herself, wrong about her talents, as she went on to conquer the world 1 decibel at a time. At the time, she did get some level of stability, but she would be later tested after she started experiencing some of the greatest losses of her life, and it started with losing MLK. I, like people throughout the world, was shocked. I remember seeing him lying there, hoping he would be all right, but knowing deep in my heart that he would not be. It was as if the whole world was falling apart. I was in a deep depression for a long time after he died. I felt a sense of hopelessness. In her book, Secrets of a Sparrow, Diana Ross mentioned that she was always mindful of helping people who had fewer opportunities than her. She made an effort to hire minorities and women to give them a chance. She also talked about how deeply affected she was by the assassination of Martin Luther King Jr. His death had a significant impact on her and those around her. The singer would later lose her mother just less than 2 decades after MLK's passing, and it was a slow and painful ordeal for her. In her book, Ross also reflected on her childhood and gained a deeper understanding of the challenges her mother endured to ensure their happiness. She also remembered her mother's passing, which occurred 2 years after she was diagnosed with breast cancer.
She was just very much the foundation in my life, and I think a really good mother. I'd like to be the mother that my mother was. She was really there.
Ross wrote, "It was fast and traumatic for all of us. We could see that she was trying to hold on to life, but we could also see that the life was slowly leaving her. At the time, she was performing in a series of concerts at Radio City Music Hall, flying home to Detroit at the end of the show, and flying back to New York in time to perform the following evening." The singer has revealed that one of her biggest regrets in life is not canceling the shows to be there with her mother full-time. "I tried to be strong for her and the rest of the family. When things are actually happening, it isn't always easy to know what's right." Then, just over a decade after her mom's passing, the singer got hit with yet another disaster. Ross has always been open about the warm memories of growing up with her siblings. She's particularly mentioned her brother Arthur, affectionately nicknamed T-Boy during his childhood due to his petite stature for his age. Tragically, Diana received the heartbreaking news of his murder only a couple of years into losing her mom. In 1996, both Arthur and his wife, Patricia Ann Robinson Ross, were found deceased in the basement of a residence in the Detroit suburb of Oak Park. Remarkably, the couple had been married for less than a year. As per the Tampa Bay Times, both Arthur and his wife were found tied up and suffocated using plastic bags. Tragically, they had been deceased for an estimated 2 to 3 weeks when their bodies were discovered, with the Associated Press providing additional information. Neighbors raised the alarm after detecting a foul odor coming from the house, leading to their grim discovery. Diana Ross expressed her profound shock, stating, "I loved him very, very much." Per the reports following the incident, Arthur and his wife had leased the residence to another couple who vanished following the gruesome discovery. Tenant Ricky Vernon Brooks, accompanied by his girlfriend Regina Smith and associate Remel Lavertis Howard, was subsequently arrested. Although Smith wasn't considered a suspect in the murders, she was a witness, and Howard was released after failing to appear in court as reported by UPI. To everyone's nightmare, the circumstances surrounding Brooks still remain frustratingly unclear. Suffice it to say this singer's life has been far from a breeze through. However, the star has managed to pick herself back up after every fall, and now fans can't help but to put her in the same sentence with some of this generation's greatest stars. One person wrote, "I'm still not over Diana Ross. Like, I don't even know why y'all waste your breath arguing with people about Bey. Like, do you understand the magnitude of Diana Ross appearing at someone else's show? She is the original Beyonce. Looks like even a trouble-filled life could not stop her from becoming the GOAT." That's it for this video. Goodbye.
Well, people on Twitter really arguing about who's the bigger star. Like, how is that helping you? You know what I mean? People are so obsessed with celebrities. This is why I always tell y'all, not to be stop worshiping these celebrities. You know what I mean? Like, you gotta stop worshiping these celebrities. It's not helping you, right? But yeah, whatchamacallit. We see this a lot. We know that, Hollywood it takes a major toll on people in the industry. We know these things, and none of this is a surprise to us. You know what I mean? It's crazy that Diana Ross' son, started revealing stuff, but that's just crazy, But yeah, I mean, it's all out there. It's all open. It's all on Front Street. You know what I mean? This is not something that we haven't seen before. This is not no crazy theory or nothing like that. This is just, and the video is just stating plain facts about Diana Ross. So, I mean, there it is. You know what I mean? There it is. There's really not much more input to be put there, if you get what I'm saying, right? So yeah, if you enjoyed the video, like the video, link to the Patreon's in the description. It's Nose right here. Be easy, y'all.